Once again, a very warm welcome to the program. This is the Morning Call. I am Nyasha K. Mutizwa. Now we kick off the Morning Call in Burkina Faso, where 35 civilians, including 31 women, were killed on Tuesday in a jihadist attack in the north of the country. This is one of the deadliest clashes in the country's history. Burkinabe President Roch Marc Kabore announced on Twitter the outcome of this attack, which he described as barbaric. 7 security forces, as well as 80 jihadists, were also killed in the clashes, according to the staff of the Burkinabe army. The president has declared 2 days of national mourning in the West African nation in response to this attack. More information on this story to follow on all our platforms here on Africanews. And we move now from Burkina Faso to Ivory Coast, where prosecutors on Monday issued an arrest warrant for presidential candidate Guillaume Soro, who aborted a planned return by diverting the flight to Ghana as security forces stormed his party headquarters in Abidjan. Soro, the former Ivorian prime minister and rebel leader, issued a series of tweets while aboard an aircraft to Accra, asking why it couldn't land in Ivory Coast and criticizing the brutality of the repression and the security forces' actions as unacceptable and urging party leaders to rise to the occasion.
The former leader of the Ivorian rebellion and candidate for the 2020 presidential election, Guillaume Soro, on Tuesday denounced the arrest of his supporters. He also denounced the will of the government to prevent him from running in the polls after his return was aborted. A fan of the social media, Soro gave his version of his incredible aborted return on Monday in his Twitter account. He castigated the arrest of his supporters and attacked his former ally turned adversary, Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara. The former president of the National Assembly, who has been at odds with the government for nearly a year, is now the subject of international arrest warrant issued by the Ivorian court for attempting to undermine the authority of the state. According to Abidjan police prosecutor Richard Ado, the warrant was issued on Monday, the same day of his scheduled return.
Guillaume Soro is very active on social media, and he did not hesitate to post on his Twitter account a series of messages narrating his ordeal. He wrote about how his missed return on Monday, the arrest of his supporters, and attacks by his former ally turned opponent, Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara. For the former rebel leader and declared presidential candidate, the government simply wants him out of the way. Guillaume Soro was a sole ally of Alassane Ouattara. He helped to bring him to power during the post-electoral crisis of 2010-2011 with the support of the rebellion of the new forces he led, according to reports.
Avec l'appui de la rébellion des forces nouvelles qu'il dirigeait en son temps.
And now to understand more, Ruth, we are joined online by political analyst André Silver Konan, joining us from the capital, Abidjan. A very good morning to you, and thank you for joining us on the program. Now, the Ivorian authorities are intensifying action against opponents. They have prevented Laurent Gbagbo from returning home, ongoing trial against Blé Goudé, and now an international arrest warrant for Guillaume Soro. Has justice been weaponized to defeat President Ouattara's rivals?
La réponse se trouve dans votre question et voilà, il y a comme une stratégie de...
The answer is right there in your question. There is a strategy of conserving power by eliminating potential candidates before the elections. This is the first remark we made immediately, looking at the legal proceedings, which is hasty and sometimes difficult for even the ordinary citizen to interpret.
Des procédures judiciaires qui sont souvent hâtives, souvent parfois inaccessibles, en tout cas dans leur compréhension par les grands publics.
Monsieur André Silver Konan, Guillaume Soro garde tout de même une influence dans le nord du pays. Blé Goudé.
Well, Guillaume Soro is powerful in the north of the country. Blé Goudé has kept his popularity in Abidjan. Gbagbo remains an influential man on the political scene. So, should we have some fears or spark tensions in the country?
Écoutez, la réponse se trouve avec Alassane Ouattara.
Well, listen to what Alassane Ouattara said, that he is the president, he is responsible for the integrity of the territory, he is responsible for peace and stability in the country. But unfortunately, what we are seeing is that power is the very source of the same crisis. Elsewhere, opponents try to provoke the government, but here it is quite the opposite. And even when there is no conflict, you are tempted to believe that the RHDP is willing to instigate it. All of these scares the ordinary Ivorian, at least me personally, because the best way to guarantee peace and stability, the simplest way to ensure democracy, is to ensure a free, transparent and open elections. Apart from that, as I said, there is also a strategy to retain power by eliminating certain candidates found tough by the government. But when that happens, we have no idea what this could lead to.
Now, Mr. Konan, you talk about the preservation of power, yet President Oauttara is in his last term. So why would he be interested in seeking another one?
On a l'impression que Alassane Ouattara lui-même s'est rendu compte que...
Well, we know that Alassane Ouattara himself knows that he cannot stay in power. Since 2010, there have been no open elections, despite the fact that the RHDP, the party he created out of the ashes of the other parties, and holds a majority in parliament, in the Senate, a majority. But that majority is only factitious. It's a factitious majority, and we believe that he realizes it now. Because part of the opposition, including the pro-Gbagbo party, which had 45% of the electorates in the 2010 elections after the second round, one party has excluded itself from the electoral process and has always boycotted elections. And so he seems to be employing the strategy of cutting off heads around to prevent, by all means including legal, eliminating potential candidates, preventing them from running, and all that. And all this is because he wants his candidate to make headway to win the elections.